Okay, on page 159, we have already discussed avoiding defaults can be done by getting larger deposits, period. That's the best way to avoid defaults. Even then, that will not avoid them, that will just reduce them. Guys, if you put enough people in houses, are you going to have a default? Okay, so is anybody going to get upset and want to go kick the dog when you actually have to take action on somebody or remove them from the property? Yes. All right, here's my simple philosophy. When tenants default, as they quite often do, and if I had to hazard a guess, I would guess that 75% of the people you put in houses will never buy them. Again, you determine that based on your actions on choosing them and on your actions after installing them, how much work you want to have somebody do to get them qualified and get them done. You can probably increase that to 75% buy and 25% don't, if you want. But sooner or later, you're going to come along and the 5th of the month is going to go by and you're going to discover somebody has not paid me their rent this month. So here's what I do. On the 6th, we send them a 3-day notice. The 3-day notice that we use in our county, because that is what's required by our county's law. In your case, it may be a 3-day notice, it may be a 5-day notice. You will get this notice from your own attorney or from your own forms package wherever you live, or from your RIA group, or from any place that you can know that it's the right document. Any landlord has already got this attorney, this agreement, or this form. So you send them a 3-day notice. And that cannot include holidays or weekends. And you say, pay or quit, and that's pretty much what it says, pay or get out. On the 3-day notice, it'll show what they owe, and you should learn to fill that out. There's probably a local government website where you live where you can drag down that notice, and it'll probably tell you how to fill it out. Not much to it. But you got to be careful. You send out a 3-day notice and you didn't know that you can't include weekends or holidays, and then all that time goes by, and then when you ask your attorney to evict, he's going to look at your notice and say, well, you got to send another 3-day notice. This one's worthless. So you send out a 3-day notice and you wait. Ours goes out on the 6th if we're Johnny on the spot. And it simply says, well, your rent's $1,000. Please add the $100 late fee to it. You got 3 days to send it back before we turn it over to the attorney. If we receive the money, great. If we don't receive the money, we turn it over to the attorney. Now, along the way, we will extend the courtesy of a phone call to the tenant buyer to find out why they haven't paid. It won't slow anything down, but we do extend them that courtesy. And sometimes they get the money in there immediately because they know we're serious. Now, if we haven't contacted them, or they won't return a call, and we haven't received the money, we don't sit around and have a family discussion about what we should do next. If we haven't got the money, it goes directly to the attorney to file eviction. The attorney will then send them another notice and give them a few more days before they file eviction on them. And he'll make it crystal clear. Now, send rent plus late fee plus attorney's fee. And by the way, while all this is going on, if your attorney gets involved, your attorney must collect the money. Because if you take any part of the money, you've just killed your own eviction. You've got to start all over again. You've got to take all of it and let the attorney collect it, let the attorney send it to you at that point. And your tenant buyer will clearly know you're real then. And do not accept part of it without taking it all. Once they pay the attorney's fees, you have now conditioned them to know that you are serious. And from that point on, you probably won't have any trouble collecting the rent unless they simply move out because they know you're not going to take their crap. If you do not do this, if you actually have a heart, if you listen to all their whiny, sobby, tear-jerking stories, if you chase them down to try to beg for your rent and absorb this stuff that may or may not be true, but even if it is true, it doesn't matter. When you are not collecting rent, the tenant is stealing your money. The same as if they put a gun to your head. If you allow it, I promise you, they will take advantage of it, and they have conditioned you, not the other way around. Don't allow it. If a tenant cannot pay their rent on time, and they still don't have it in by the time you file eviction on them, you might as well file the eviction and get it over with, because this relationship is done. And if you file eviction on them, it goes right on their credit report anyway, and there's no chance they're going to get a loan. Maybe you don't care, but you sure ain't helping anything by filing the eviction. But here's what I absolutely know. If they can't pay, time will not fix it. If they can't pay this month, they won't pay next month, they won't pay the month after. From that day forward, they're a pain in the ass for the rest of the relationship. You have to draw a line. You have to decide when enough is enough. My line's very simple. I tell them right from the beginning, look, we're going to send you a 3-day notice if you're late. Don't get mad at us. It's our system. It does it automatically. And yeah, you'll get a notice, and yes, you can pay after that, but we want the money, we want the payment on time, we want the late payment if you don't pay it, we won't take your check if you don't send it with a late payment, and if attorney ever has to file on you, now you have to pay the attorney's fees too. And then I'll make the decision at that time whether I even want your money at all. So, ladies, this is one you probably ought to let him do. You can decorate the houses, but you probably ought to let the mean old man take care of the hard stuff with the tenants, unless it's the other way around. Whoever's the biggest asshole in the family ought to be in charge of this process. And you know who you are. The best thing that you can do is not have personal contact with the tenant and listen to their sob stories, because we all have a heart, and pretty soon, next thing you know, I'm falling for it. And I'm telling you, a problem is a problem is a problem is a problem, and almost never does time fix that problem. We've got one right now, late every single month. Every single month he's late, and every single month he pays a late penalty too. Every single month he pays a late penalty. And every single month we have to send a 3-day notice out before he sends his money. But I'll tell you right now, if he doesn't get that money in there by the end of that notice, he's going to get evicted like anybody else. And in my case, once I start the eviction, I'm not stopping it. Do you understand that you've got several $1,000s of their money? You have every right to evict their butt out of the house, and they do not get their money back. So they get that too. They know if you evict them, they're going to lose out all that money they gave you. So these tenants are so much easier to get to pay than those tenants that can just go move into someplace else if you push them out of the house. But you're still going to have problem children. It's up to you how much of the crap they take. Basically, I take probably more crap than I should, because it's not me that's taking the crap anyway. I'm not the one that's sending them the notice and making the phone calls to them or any of that junk, so I don't much worry about it that much. But I can tell you, I will not let them go very long without paying their rent. My staff gives me a report on the 6th or the 7th of the month, tell me who paid and who hasn't paid, And if there's some people on there that haven't paid every month, the same response, send them a notice. And they probably have already done it before I tell them that. And then they know to go send it to the attorney after that. That's just that simple. Okay? Rule with an iron fist. If you don't, pretty soon, you're going to be behind on the payments and not collecting rent and people living in your house, stealing money from you, and you wonder why you ever got into this landlording stuff. As far as I'm concerned, somebody gives me $5,000 to move into my house, they're just giving me an excuse to move them back out and go collect more money from somebody else.